Lenten Lunchtime Lesson with Father Andrew of the Society of Divine Compassion. The third Sunday in Lent, redeeming the time. Redeeming the time because the days are evil, Ephesians 5:16. St. Paul went through evil days, and he did not pretend that they were not evil. We are going through evil days, and it would be foolish to pretend we are not. Now these evil days, as St. Paul shows us in his letter, and he was shrewd as well as he was holy, may have different effects on people. They may make them silly, inefficient, cowardly, weak, fearful. There may be a spiritual blackout. Evil days may make people take to drink or drugs or wild dissipation. But evil days may be, and should be, a challenge, and we should meet them with faith. Evil times are evil times, but it is possible to redeem them. A time may seem to be imprisoned by evil forces. It is for us to ransom it, to set it free. There is a fine thought about the passing hour coming to us rather like a timid guest, who will be cheered or saddened according to whether we meet it with a smile of welcome or a frown of distaste. It is not, he says, the hour that should bring us happiness, but we ourselves are bidden to make happy that hour which comes to seek a refuge in our souls. A man sometimes, through improvidence or drink, will pawn his tools. There are they, good tools, but he has put them out of action. He goes about trying to find someone who will redeem them for him. He may find a friend to redeem his tools, but it is Christ alone who can redeem himself. St. Paul sets before us two things, wisdom and cheerfulness, as what we are to strive after, especially in evil days. First, the wisdom of understanding what the will of the Lord is. That surely is what all the holiness and best minds will be seeking for now, because all the while the will of God is going on, drawing out courage and tenderness. The Lord, who longed to incarnate himself in our human nature, is still longing to find his reflecting lens, as it were, in his human children. Human pity that can reflect human pity. Human love that can reflect his love. Human patience that can reflect his patience. The will of the Lord goes on all the while as the sun shines ever behind the clouds. Then cheerfulness. St. Paul says, in everything give thanks. The priest at the altar in the prayer of consecration says, who in the same night as he was betrayed took bread, and when he had given thanks, he brake it. All the while the will of the Lord is at work. That is a fact. We are to seek to understand what the will of the Lord is. That is the vocation of the spiritual life. Giving thanks always for all things, that is the practical outcome of the life of worship that does find the energy and purpose of the will of God in spiritual experience. We all know many examples of, and have probably had many contacts with Christians who have been able to redeem and not be defeated by all sorts of evil times. In our Lord's story of the rich man and the poor man, Dives had a very good time, but in that good time he was silly and apparently rather dissipated. But Lazarus, the poor man, had a very evil time and redeemed it. He made friends with angels and passed to his paradise. The rich man passed on to his purgatory. Lazarus had learned here what Dives had to learn there. St. Paul had a thorn in his flesh and many evil times, but how wonderfully he redeemed them. Above all, our Lord turned the worst day that ever was into the day that we call Good Friday. When the angels, shepherds, and wise men greeted his coming, it was to the place of poverty that he came, and his way was ever a pilgrimage from the manger to the cross. His times were in his Father's hand, and how wonderful he has redeemed the times. Be of good cheer. Our Lord's words that came over the night to those men who were tossing on the sea, come over the ages and it is our privilege to echo and to pass them on. Let us make up our minds that we will go along bravely, faithfully, cheerfully, redeeming the times. Though the days may be evil, if we love God, they will work together for our good, and we shall be able to redeem them to the glory of our Lord and the fulfillment of our own spiritual destiny.